This is episode 79 of the Fire Protection Podcast, powered by InspectPoint. Today, my guest is Kyle Jarvenpaa from Space Age Electronics. Tough little name to pronounce there. Kyle and I have go back a little bit of ways and just kind of learn about Space Age Electronics over the last year or so. And I get into it on the podcast. They're a niche inside of fire alarm, inside of that. So it was really cool to kind of learn some of the products they do and just kind of some of the technical committees that they're on and some of and how they're supporting the market with that. So it's cool to sit down with Kyle. You know, he's been heavily involved in AFAA and SFPE as well. So Space Age is kicking off this partnership here with InspectPoint, and we're debuting them on this podcast, episode 79. So yeah, hope you enjoy, and on to the podcast. Thanks. Kyle, what's going on today?
How are you, Drew?
I'm great. It's you're in New England. We should have done this together, but sometimes it's easier to just do it over the camera.
We're what, an hour and a half apart?
Yeah. But having two cameras, it's I'm becoming better audio visual.
But the world now, right?
Yeah. Ever since the pandemic, it's like you got to be good at some of this stuff, right?
Yep.
It'd been nice to get outside somewhere, but it's still winter here in New England. So
yeah, surprisingly, it snowed yesterday morning for 9th, 10th. Yeah, where I live, anyways. Yeah, it did.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to the podcast. I guess what have you been up to lately? I guess, and just give an intro to to the audience of like who you are, who Space Age is, kind of what you guys kind of found your niche inside a niche inside a niche, right?
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah. Well, all right. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this since we've been speaking about it. Yeah, I'm Kyle Jarvenpaa. I am the VP of Business Development at Space Age. I've been here for 14 years. I'm in my 14th year now. And I guess a good kind of nutshell explanation of who Space Age is we are a fire and life safety system component manufacturer who's been in the industry since 1963. And our niche within a niche within a niche is really just, we look for opportunities within the industry to provide value to customers with solutions that are either code compliant, answer a code requirement, or something that is going to create an efficiency on a project, right? So whether it's installation efficiencies, design efficiencies, it's how can we help our customer base be more efficient. And, we don't necessarily compete with a lot of the major manufacturers. We make a lot of complementary items. So it puts us in a position to be able to support a lot of different types of companies in the industry. So, we jokingly say we're like the Switzerland, so to speak, but in a way, we just kind of want to find who we can help and how we can help them. And, that's kind of where we've carved out our space over the years.
Yeah, being agnostic these days, I feel, is the way to go. It's interesting to see the trends with, different sides of fire protection, because we're in all areas. You're more on the alarm and electrical side. But even that was a very proprietary, right? 20 years ago.
Well,
and it's becoming less and less proprietary and more open and utilizing different equipment and, trying to get into a panel that's not locked down. I know it's not a thing yet, but it's coming in 72, right?
Yeah. And it's technology moves faster than traditionally our industry does, but I think the industry's starting to put more attention toward that. And, the landscape's changing in a number of ways. I think technology is one of them that's leading that, with different systems and different solutions that are available for, different applications where people are looking at that now saying, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Let's have a bigger conversation about that.
Right. So in background with Space Age Electronics, where do you are you involved in any associations, NFPA, anything there?
Yeah. So as a company, we're involved in well over a dozen of different, industry associations or code committees, technical committees, whether it be NFPA technical committees, NEMA involvement, or associations like AFAA, SFPE, things of that nature. Personally, being in New England, I'm on the board of directors for the New England Automatic Fire Alarm Association, so AFAA New England. And just several months ago, I was appointed as one of the technical committee members, a principal member for the NFPA 241 committee. So that's relatively fresh, though it's a space I've been spending a lot of time in over the past few years.
Have you been on a technical committee before as principal?
No, this is my first time. So our first in-person technical committee meeting is this summer, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a whole new experience. Though it's a space that I've had involvement in, from that side of it, this is all new to me. So it's me a learning experience for sure, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I got involved with the remote inspection and testing 1915.
Oh.
That was my first one. Obviously, we better be remote to meet because it's that's what the standard is.
Yeah.
I know we just met in person. I wasn't able to go to that, but I was online. Anyway, it's just interesting to see the whole NFPA process, and I had Jason Webb on here, who you've probably known.
Yeah.
Just to kind of describing the whole process of, start to finish on NFPA, where does it come from, and where does the technical committee sit, and that whole process of trying to change code and how the public can help there. So it was a great learning experience.
It's interesting. I mean, NFPA and the various different books within, like with 241 specifically, it's been around since the 1930s, and there's still people when you bring it up today like, oh, I've never even heard of that before. And it's just it's one of those things from an awareness perspective, right? Like there's been people working on this, for that period of time. But it's just from an acceptance and awareness, acceptance and enforcement standpoint, it just really hasn't gotten the attention.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why I'm excited to be a part of it, because it's getting a lot more attention now. And it's being, developed a lot quicker than in previous years. So that's part of the excitement.
Wait, has it really been around since the 1930s?
It has, yeah, that standard itself.
Wow. That's crazy. I did not know that. Yeah, I knew about like NFPA getting involved in it. It's safeguarding construction, alteration, and demo operations, which, being involved in New York City for a bunch of years, there's local laws in New York, and I think Boston has it as well, mainly on the sprinkler side, but I know they have this on the fire alarm side too, where, there's essentially it's a dry standpipe there for, and this all, a lot of code gets drawn up and adopted because of tragedies and all that. And there was I think it was the Deutsche Bank fire.
Yes.
Was it the Deutsche Bank? Yeah, where they somebody cut into the standpipe, whatever. Firefighters went up there, couldn't tap in. So obviously there was some unfortunate lives lost there, but they made the standard, right? In any new construction, at least in New York City. And, you have to have these protocols in place. So is that what 240 is? 241 is kind of a basis for that?
Yeah, it's I've heard it referred to as a framework document, right? So it provides a framework to those who need to follow it. So whether it's general contractors, building owners, or GCs being a building owner's rep, those who create the impairment plans. So that's, at GC level all the way to code consultant level. It gives a framework for them as well as jurisdictions to come to some common agreement on a construction project as to what's going to occur for not just fire protection and fire safety measures, but everything from, I say, good housekeeping in air quotes, meaning, gate access for first responders. Are there dumpsters in the way of, gate 2 on and such a week? So if there's a need to respond to the site for don't go to gate 2, you go to gate 1.
Right.
So there's a lot of different detail in there as it relates to overall just better safety around on a construction site, but certainly, focused on fire, both fire protection and, just from a response plan perspective.
Yeah, that's interesting. You see a lot of these fires that, if something under construction, right? And there's some pretty big fires because there's no protection probably in place because the building's not done yet. So
Correct. Yeah, that's the whole point, right? Like right now, a lot of times the projects we've been involved in over the past several years, you talk to people and there's everything from nothing being done to an air horn hanging on a hook at the stairwell locations on every floor, and that's your means of notification to evacuate if there's an emergency, to a hardwired system that may or may not be powered up and working. There's a lot of different ways to do it. We got involved because we provide a solution for it. That's a wireless solution. And that's where my involvement a few years back kind of started really, coming into play. And my background before Space Age was residential construction, but it was in construction. So naturally I was, this is a very interesting space. I kind of like it. So yeah, it's been a learning experience for 7 or so years now, but yeah, this summer I get to take the next step.
Yeah, that's cool. So is there an actual, sorry, I'm very intrigued in this. So, a high rise under construction or whatever, warehouse under construction, is there this wireless solution that you guys have? Is there a panel involved, or I guess is it more, is there actually detection, or is it, there is?
Yeah. Think of it a lot like a fire alarm system. And I hesitate to say it's a fire alarm system, even though truthfully at its core, that's what it is. For the most part, for the intent of a temporary system during construction, yes, there's a panel. It's a wireless panel. It doesn't require AC power. It has smoke detection, heat detection, wireless IO relays for tying it into other systems. There's what's called a call point, which is manual initiation to evacuate the site, but it also integrates a horn strobe for notification. There's a number of different features, and it's a mesh network. It's radio frequency, so it's self-sustaining, ideal for that environment. It was built for that environment, so it's a solid solution for a space that's ever changing.
Yeah, and I would feel like you're kind of pushing. It's not really at the I guess if you can get like cities and HJs to adopt it, right? Then there's a, and I'm looking back at the sprinkler side where it was, on the standpipe pack, in Boston and New York, there's a lot of construction there. So if you can, if they're bringing in 241 and require that, obviously there's solutions are out there for it.
Yes, absolutely. And you can actually monitor the standpipes with it as well with the dry contact.
Oh, cool.
So when, if a change in pressure happens wirelessly, it will notify the panel, and then you can notify those who need to know in another way, basically. So yeah, while 241 doesn't necessarily use the exact words that you shall be putting a fire alarm system temporarily in place during construction, it does provide the guidance to what's called an FPPM. It's a fire prevention program manager, and that's the person on site who's designated to carry out the plan. Typically, the plans are written, in many cases here in the Northeast, by code consultants who will put a form of temporary fire protection in because it's smart. It's early detection. If there's something, whether it's during or after hours, you want to know as soon as possible to give the responding departments as much awareness to it and ability to go and fight that fire for both sake of the building and surrounding structures. So
interesting. Yeah. I'm glad I tapped into that when you mentioned you were on 241.
Yeah. So no, that could be its own podcast.
Right.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts in general? Like where do you guys spend most of your time? Are you into the fire alarm distributor contractors, service providers? Are you in the engineers more? Are you working with the OEM? You're probably across it, but where is most of your time spent?
Yeah, we are across it. Our business is also unique in that we do support the OEMs. So there's products we make specifically for them that you'd never know it comes from one of our buildings. It's a product. So there's that component. There's our own products we design and manufacture, or in some cases resell for partners of ours to the fire alarm contractors. So the ESDs, those who are doing design and providing parts, to turnkey, to electrical contractors. That's the core of it really, because our product set, that's where it's best suited, but also then wholesale distribution channels as well to put the product, the more consumables out there and available in the market. So we focus on those 3 channels primarily. And then, we certainly do have a focus on the engineering community as well, both from, the obvious specification piece of it, but also the education side of it as well. So we, because not just myself, but a number of people on our team sit on different committees and have various different involvement in the industry, we're positioned to be able to go and speak and educate. So, certainly the engineering community is part of that. The AHJ community is part of that, as well as our customer base.
Gotcha. Yeah. Again, you're in a niche inside a niche. And, the funny part is there's a lot of white labeling and with that, and within, you say you don't know it's coming from space age with the manufacturers, and I think partnerships are a big piece to the industry, right? Where you have a sole focus, and then all right, well, we're not experts there. Can we partner together to make everybody's lives easier?
Absolutely, yeah. I said it in the beginning of this podcast, but one of the things we focus on, if it's not providing a solution to answer a code requirement and make, our customers' lives easier in that way, it's, efficiencies, right? So it could be with our product and solutions that we make ourselves. It could be with a partner product or solution. And how do we bring that to our customer base to help them grow their business to the next level and truly be a partner, not just a vendor to them. That's one of the things that we like to tell our partners is, we don't want to just be another vendor. We want to be an extension of your business. We want to understand, your day-to-day, the projects you work on, how we can help. We have a lot of expertise on our team, from previous roles in the industry throughout the years and at our core, what we do, to where we want to be a value in that way as well. Yep.
Recently I had Sean Mahoney on the podcast. I don't know if you know Sean.
I've met Sean.
Yeah. He's down the street from you. He sits on NFPA. I had him on discussing fire doors and fire dampers, and then we got in this whole thing in smoke control. And I know you guys are big in the area of smoke control. So and we do it in our platform and the Inspect Point platform too, but it's more fire doors and dampers, and smoke controls like this. It's kind of its own standard. There's some damper inspection stuff there. And is it a newer? I know smoke control's been around for years, but is it just not being pushed? I guess new buildings are being pushed that way, and design engineers have to do it for larger buildings, but it's interesting. It's just a observation of mine. The smoke control kind of is pushed to this, not pushed to the side, but it's not.
It depends. It depends on the type of building, occupancy, size of building, jurisdiction, and how they want to achieve it. Whether it's an atrium smoke exhaust scenario, or if it's a stairwell pressurization scenario, or if it's a post-fire scenario with smoke purge, as they call it in New York, or smoke evac. So yeah, it kind of depends on how it's being achieved. So like what we provide is the graphic panel, the interface panel to the fire alarm system that is interfacing with the fire alarm system, which is interfacing with, the building automation system, fans, dampers, all that stuff. It's a multidisciplined approach among trades, but we provide the firefighter's override panel, which is the graphic depiction of what's going on in the building. Gives you the tactile switches, or in some cases, as I said earlier, technology is moving, faster than acceptance. Sometimes it could be a graphic touchscreen. Right. And then, of course, you've got your field devices, fans, dampers, maybe doors, windows for makeup. And those are all being controlled and monitored in some fashion by the system as well. So, yeah, we provide the graphic interface, the firefighter control panels or post-fire panels, as well as part of that brand panel view for us is our prefab capabilities, where we'll actually prefab the controls functions for fans and dampers, down to the manufacturer specific components, right? We'll put those in and pre-wire them all for everybody to make the installations go are seamless and, quicker and, from design all the way to commissioning and future tests and inspections.
Gotcha. Who does, is that an electrical contractor that does that, or are the fire alarm contractors involved? They probably have to be involved at some point. No?
Certainly. Yeah. Well, it depends again. I mean, markets are so different. There's the turnkey markets where the fire alarm contractors also, could be the EC who has a fire alarm division. They're doing it all.
Yep.
In, other markets like here in the Northeast in Boston, you've got the fire alarm contractor providing the design and the components, and the ECs are the ones doing the installation.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we'll work alongside right in the middle, and provide the solutions to, whoever, everyone has a benefit in that, as
Right.
stakeholders.
Yeah, and I guess HVAC is involved too, right? With the building controls and everything.
Yeah, there's an interface there for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learning these little side parts of fire protection, and
There's
Sean,
so
yeah.
many, there's a lot of tentacles.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, that, I know we met recently on just the state of the market. Where do you see, obviously there's a lot of acquisition and consolidation happening, but is that happening on the electrical side too? Obviously I'm
Mhm.
close on the fire side, but what's happening in the electrical side of
Yeah.
the business
Oh yeah,
or
it's
industry?
certainly happening. I mean, it seems more prevalent in the fire alarm integrator space, right?
Hmm.
With the ESDs, we'll call them, where there's a lot of companies that are, rolling into one another and being acquired and partnering. But certainly on the EC side too, we see it across the nation where there's some large electricals in different markets who've expanded, outside of the market that they originated from, and it's likely through acquisition. There's a few names out there that are, becoming one. Um, but even outside of our industry, I see it happening as well. I think it's just the state of where we are currently in the world. It's an acquisition kind of growth world.
Yep.
And it's that mentality of we are stronger together. Let's put our resources together and go out and build something bigger. But certainly within our industry, yeah, it's across the board for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. There were, new to our business. There's some new people within inside Inspect Point or whatever that aren't used to just the fire space, and there's, this at time of recording, we're amidst the troubled time within the stock market and stuff like that,
Okay.
and I think everybody's like, we got a couple comments of like people being concerned, you know,
Yeah.
about the business. And I'm like, guys, we're pandemic resistant, we're recession resistant. Fire codes don't go backwards, right?
Mhm.
So our business is really, it's focused on compliance and safety, and
Right.
that usually doesn't go down, right? So
That's a really good point.
do not worry. We have a great business model now. Yeah, new buildings and stuff like that. That always goes through waves, but on the maintenance side and the inspection side and the service side, that's obviously the last 10 years has been gangbusters.
Well,
So
I think that's part of the reason why we see so much change and consolidation too in the industry because people are looking to diversify in one way or another, right? I don't want to just focus on this one thing. I want to diversify to be more relevant in several areas, just, pending several things. And right now, you're right with what we're going through in the economy. The more diversified you are, likely the better that you are,
yep,
better chance you have of maintaining and pulling through.
yep,
Um, but also from an efficiency standpoint, right? Like your tool, your platform for people provides efficiencies. So,
yep,
in any time, how can you be more relevant, but also continue being more efficient? It's finding new tools and platforms and ways to run your business and manage. That's what's going to set you up, and that's where our focus moving forward is as well as a partner for our customers too. Is how do we help our partners, both new existing and potential new partners, be more efficient and diversify and
yep,
grow past the point that they're at now. And I think that's really how we started talking and looking at
yep.
Inspect Point and what can we do with that? How is this
Right.
something we can put in front of our customer base and help them become more efficient and diversify?
Yeah, yeah. I see a lot of I'll see an electrician's truck, right, rolling, going down the road, right, or a security company, right, where they'll put fire alarm on there, and it might be just a tiny piece of their business, but again, the more they get diversified, and similarly across the fire protection space, they're getting into everything. They're branching into security. Some of the bigger ones are even getting into the elevator space,
Colin?
which is like a compliance driven space, right? So and there's always constant service and maintenance there. And I think the codes are better. And again, you can install something if you don't, it's $1 million. The thing is, if you don't maintain that, per the codes or per the OEM, that piece of equipment's going to degrade over time,
Uh-huh.
especially if it's not being used like in fire.
Uh-huh.
So,
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, and it speaks to the importance of having that recurring piece of being able to go back and do the tests and inspections and, provide the value to then their customer, the end user, that, the system's being maintained the right way. And the company doing it is a reputable company to be doing so.
yep.
Yeah.
Um, Question about, this is something I was, perusing your products and all the stuff. And I think there's really some really great innovative things. And you guys, again, a lot of different sides to the fire alarm and detection and all that
Mhm.
space. The boxes though, I'm really curious about these boxes, the Acer boxes. And is that what they're called, Acer boxes, right?
Acer Box is the brand. Yeah. Yep.
It's so simple, but it's obviously needed. And I guess obviously that's some of that's in the code, but where is the value there? I'm curious because
Sure.
and I have some follow up to that too
Okay.
on some data we have. So
Yeah. So Acer Box, it's both of the value props, I guess, that I mentioned earlier, right? It's the code requirement, so document boxes, right? It's in the code.
gotcha.
You shall provide a location to keep your documents, and it should say system record documents. Yeah, so it's in NFPA 72, and it's a solution for people to be code compliant, keep their system records in there. So that's everything from your system manuals all the way through, annual inspections and keeping those in there.
Yep.
And we go a step further, and not just for the document box, but also for terminal cabinets, battery cabinets, the accessory cabinets, which are just empty enclosures with a back plate that you can mount whatever you want in there, to where we'll custom brand those for companies, right? So if somebody's looking at our document boxes, and they say, well, this is going to go next to every one of our fire alarm panels that we're putting out there, both new install and servicing. We want our name on it. We want our
Yep.
service number on it, our website on it, and we brand that for people. So we'll run
Wow.
and different various quantities for people, and that's a standard of theirs where now they're using it as a marketing tool, right? So it's not just a solution that's helping them be code compliant, but they're also using it as a marketing tool on their projects.
Yep.
And if it's a company who's focusing on, new installs, or perhaps it's a refurb project and they need terminal cabinets or other types of enclosures, we're branding those for them as well. So they become accessories to the installation that are part of the system, and, from a brand perspective, become part of what they're putting out there into the world. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's a unique for us. And it goes a long way with our partners. And there's a lot of longevity to it.
Yeah, I've got some ideas for you there too to even enhance that product even
All
more.
new ideas.
I'll have to take that offline.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll just get it out there, right? Why? All right, you have the system record box. Why can't we push that to the cloud? Or, yeah, you probably still need the physical documents there, but there's so much more that you could just put a
Mhm.
QR code or something in there.
But
It could go
yes,
back. Yeah,
we've been thinking about that for many years, right? At what point is this box irrelevant? I mean,
right.
it's in the code, so that's obviously a point in our favor there.
Yep.
But yeah, it is something that we've been talking about for quite a while, and in fact, it's once again going back to originally speaking with you guys and creating a partnership. There is, what's the next level of documentation and the next level of a solution, again, that we can bring to our customer base that
Yeah.
maybe isn't necessarily on the requirement side as far as how it's being carried out currently, but it's the future, right? It's where
Yes.
things are going, and it only made sense for us to say, okay, there's something here. There's somebody who does it really well, and we have a customer base who are already utilizing one solution in this for this purpose. Why not bring the next generation of the solution to the table and say,
Yeah.
hey, we also have this. And in fact, it doesn't just serve that purpose. It does these various other things for you as well in your business.
Right.
So,
Right.
again, from an efficiency standpoint, right, and being a partner and bringing the next thing to the table, and just being a good advocate for the partnership.
Yeah. No, it's exciting, and Yeah, no, we're getting ready to kick that off here soon. Probably this podcast will be the first thing.
Yeah, yeah, you
Um,
heard it here first.
yeah, right, right. Yeah, I saw those battery cabinets because that it sparked me to to talk about the boxes because, and then I got the document boxes came to mind as well. But the battery, it's the number one deficiency in really NFPA 72 in our data at least.
Sure.
Essentially, it's battery testing, right? And we have analytics around battery testing now, so you can know what buildings and panels are coming due, and there's some pretty cool stuff. And yeah, it's been the number one deficiency in our platform on the fire alarm side
I like.
for quite a while. Now, I'd love to dig into that more. You know, obviously you have to have them tested, and that's the main backup power. But
Right.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And it's a point as to, why would you use a platform like Inspect Point? And that's one data piece that supports that, hey, look, this is a tool that's going to help you become more efficient, not just
yep,
with one detail, but things like that
right,
that are important to the annual inspections.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Um, any other topics that you can think of, in 2025? What do you guys got anything you're working on that's kind of top of mind that you can tell everybody?
Yeah, we're working on a handful of things, and by June, NFPA, right, in our industry, that's
Yeah,
a big event. It'll be several things in our booth at NFPA that will be new or upcoming. So I'm very excited about that. Some of which I'll keep a secret so people show up to see it. But yeah, one of the bigger things that we've been working on, and it kind of coincides with what we're doing with Inspect Point, is putting a more service-based package together for our again, current customers, but certainly, new partnership opportunities that are out there that focuses on the efficiencies and helping people who have new businesses grow, have
yep,
existing businesses reach the next level. So it's things like the Inspect Point platform, our branding services, and what we provide there for helping people, grow their business. Design is another piece of it as
nice.
part of what this program is going to be. And then even beyond that is education. So, we've recently rolled out what we call Ignite. And Ignite is an educational series kind of being headed up by our industry relations director, Mike Ventola. So he's educating on several different topics that, we have become subject matter experts of over the past many years. So that's part of this package too, is the ability to bring new tools to partners, help with branding efforts, help with finding design resource, and then also from an educational perspective, providing CEUs for those who need to keep up with their licenses.
Yep,
And going back to what we were talking about a minute ago with the consolidation in the industry and seeing more and more new companies popping up from those who are kind of going off on their own and wanting to do something different.
hmm,
So there's the consolidation piece, but there's also this new kind of group of people and group of companies popping up out there that, these services and what this package entails are that it's helpful to them.
yeah,
So that's kind of what we've been putting a lot of focus on, is really who we are as a company and where we fit in the industry, and as a brand, what we can bring to people to help them, grow and expand their own brand and be more efficient there. So, it's developing. It's something that certainly by NFPA will be fully pushing and talking about. But yeah, Inspect Point's a huge part of that.
yeah. No, exciting to kick this off and partner here. And again, you guys make great products and are involved in a lot of the niche within the fire alarm space. So
Well,
it's cool to be kicking this off. Um, One question to end on,
sure.
and then we'll get out of here. Um, you invite. I think we kicked this off our relationship from invite. I think you invited me to an SFPE or AFAA.
Yeah, it was an AFAA. So this goes back into not last summer. Yeah, last summer, maybe this summer.
Yeah, yeah,
An AFAA Brew Series summer event that we do in AFA New England, which, yeah, that never really materialized. So certainly want to get something going moving forward with that because summer's coming. So why not?
Well, it was the coolest thing. Like I was going to present at a brewery. I think it was at Treehouse or something like that. So I
Yeah,
guess the
it's really
question is, what
get it.
you get. I guess it's not a question, more of a comment. We got to get that going again. I want to do some brewery tours here.
Consider it done. Yeah, I like that. Brewery Tour 25. Let's be up and down the East Coast.
Right? Yeah, we go out west. Denver's got a bunch. California's
Mhm.
got a bunch.
Yeah, no, certainly. That was something that as AFA New England, we do our dinner meetings a few times a year, from the beginning of the year to summer, and we typically would take summers off. And the idea that we carried out that first summer, and we are planning it again for this summer, is to keep the momentum going. We wanted to do something a little more light, more of a social event. So we chose at the time as Trillium Brewery, and we did a few events there that were intended to be more solution and product focused, whereas our dinner meetings are typically more topical, right? It's not a
Yep.
sales pitch.
Yep.
But whereas, doing this in more of a social setting at a brewery, bring in a different manufacturer or solution provider, and let's learn about the technology. Let's learn about the
Right.
solution. And that first summer that we did it, we did 3 of them, and they were pretty well attended. People came out and wanted to hear about the technology, or either that or just drink beer, but it went well enough.
Got them
So
out there.
doing it again.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
looking forward to hearing more about it this summer. So
we'll have to coordinate and inspect point one.
yeah, and I'd love to maybe do a live podcast at one. I did one at a tequila bar early on in the podcast, and that was fun. And anyway, it's
Um,
you got
I
to get people to
support.
these meetings. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, joking aside, the industry associations, I mean, it's the perfect platform for education, learning, networking,
yep,
seeing what's new in the industry. There are a lot of different associations, and they all provide similar but different values. So it's
exactly.
equally as important to support them all.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so let's end here. Where can we find yourself? Where can we find anything? Give a plug at this point.
Yeah. I mean, obviously our website, right? onesae.com. That's where all of our solutions are. And you can learn more about them. We're very active on LinkedIn. So Space Age Electronics on LinkedIn. That's where I'm more day-to-day, week-to-week updates, blogs, that sort of stuff that we're doing. And then, my upcoming out there in the world next week, I'll be at the AFAA National AFX event in Orlando. And then, of course, as a company, we're going to be at NFPA in June in Las Vegas. So a number of opportunities to connect and talk about what's new.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see you at AFAA and we'll see you at NFPA as well. So
Absolutely. Looking
looking
forward.
forward to this, Kyle. Thanks again for hopping on with me today. This was episode 79 of the Fire Protection Podcast, powered by Inspect Point. I want to thank Kyle again for coming on the podcast from Space Age Electronics, kicking off this partnership with them, and really learn a little bit more about what they do inside the niche industry of fire alarm and for electrical contractors as well. So more to come, and yeah, see you guys again soon. Thanks again for listening.